Hi, everybody, and happy Thursday. And it seems that we're now live, all good to go. I'm not going to keep you long, but it's such an important conversation to have. And I've been having so many conversations with a lot of you around motivation, engagement, and how that looks for you as a team leader, for your team members in your organization. A lot of uh, questions around how can I engage and how can I keep my team motivated. We're all exhausted, we're all depleted, we feel like we're absolutely overwhelmed with everything that we have to do, and we don't necessarily feel that we are motivated enough. And the more we dive deep into the kind of conversations that focus on motivation and engagement, the more it shows that actually we need to talk about something else as well. There's more to the conversation. There's always been more to the conversation. And where I wanted to start today is a question. And for those of you catching this live, you can put it in the comments. If you're not catching this live, feel free to comment even offline and answer this question, or at least try to answer this question to yourself. Do we really feel motivated when we don't feel included? I think that is the starting point of any kind of conversation when it comes to teams, to high performance, when it comes to well-being in an organization. And that's what I'm really keen on bringing as a discussion topic on everyone's table right now, because well-being of the organization, well-being for the organization means so much more than just the physical well-being or the social well-being that we're talking about. So, oh, thanks, Hosni. Yeah, thank you. I will keep rocking. You too. Absolutely. You're amazing. And by the way, follow Hosni Zawali. He's amazing. He and his company and his product in changing the world of learning, in changing how we learn. He's amazing. So go and follow him. Thanks for joining me. Okay, so do we really feel motivated when we don't feel included? Is that even possible? And then I have another thing that I was thinking about. You know how I'm keen to, whenever we talk about high performance, I always draw the parallel with high performance teams in sports. And I was also thinking we can use so much and we can learn from so much from high performing sports teams, but also we can learn so much from the communities and the sport club communities that are so close to more of us, right? We've all been part of some sort of sports club at some point, or wanted to join, or we know people who joined. And when we talk about motivation and inclusion, we cannot talk about it without addressing the need of running your team at work as a community sport club. What does that have to do with anything? Well, it does, because here's why. And I love this quote from Simon Sinek, who said, "A community is a group of people who agree to grow together." That's the real power of community. And if you look at this definition, I think we can all agree that this is an amazing definition to give for inclusion, and also an incredible definition to give for motivation and engagement. So that's why I wanted to start the conversation here. with the power of community, with how can we even start the conversation about motivation and engagement without inclusion and without thinking about what that inclusion might look like. And I'm offering this model of the community and looking at specifically sports teams, sports clubs community, right? For example, a dojo. And I found this in an article, and it's a quote from Bernard Letendre, who is the head of wealth and asset management in Canada. And he said this: that's just the way things work in a dojo. Helping beginners is a collective responsibility of all the people who are more experienced. In fact, the more experienced the judoka, the greater the responsibility. And now, why does that matter so much for inclusion and for motivation, you will ask? Well, because first of all, that's what the community gives. It means we have a safe space for trial and error. We create that space. So if you're leading teams in organizations, large or small, what does your environment look like? And when we think about environment, we think about the culture. What is the culture that you operate in? Because the reality is, the culture might not affect the things that we do, but it definitely affects how we do them. So if, in other words, that's why people in one organization are going to do things maybe in a more mediocre, on a mediocre level, and then they go to another organization and they do the same thing, the same role, to the best of their potential and abilities. That's the power that looking at your team, your organization as a community, it brings more inclusion. Inclusion as in, definitely we're not going to look at gender, race, sexual identity, origins, country of origin, and all of that kind of stuff. We're not going to look at that. What we're going to do is think about it from a completely different perspective. Because what a community does is it doesn't think about all of this stuff. It just operates with the people that that community has. And there is no other way. And there is no way that we can succeed without that community participating. No matter how different they are building the same community that we all operate in. And going for that, that's what's going to get all of your members of that community feel heard, understood, and valued. And that's inclusion. That's the inclusion that we want to go for. I'm going to be heard. And I feel that I can be heard. I feel that I can express myself. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to wonder whether or not it's safe for me to say something, to communicate an idea, to contribute, or even to push back and say, well, I think that's risky. I'm not going to think about that because I know I'm having that safe space for trial and error. I know people will hear me and they will accept what I'm saying, and we can have valuable conversations. And then we all feel valued. And that's where we build the right kind of culture. And I can't stress this enough. Mentoring and reverse mentoring is also what builds communities at work. And that's what gives you the inclusion. And that is what gives you the motivation that you need. Because it's not about you as the leader or the team manager motivating your team over and over again. Because there's only so much you can do to motivate people externally, from the outside over to them. There's a piece of motivation for you. Take it or leave it. It doesn't work. Long term, what you want to have is intrinsic motivation. And that only comes from my sense of Am I included in the conversation? Am I supported whenever I feel that maybe it's not my place to contribute to the conversation? Do I feel the support that I need? Do I get somebody to say, to ask me, well, what do you think about it? What would you need? What doesn't work for you? These are so powerful questions that if you think about it, that's why they work so well. That's why communities, especially in sports, that's why they work so well. Because that's when you have that valuable sense of, you know what, I'm heard and I'm understood and I'm valued and I'm appreciated for who I am and for the contribution that I can make. That is so powerful. Okay, another point that I want to make here is that when we talk about inclusion, let's talk about how everyone can make a game-changing impact. And I love this word, game-changing. It's all about that. It's all about who can take the helm and when, depending on what needs to be done. Because we're all, as a team, as an organization, we're all heading towards our goals. What do we want to achieve? What do we want to get? And everyone on the team can have and can make a game-changing impact. And that's where I really love using the GC index, which is the assessment that profiles the ways in which people feel most engaged and energized when it comes to making an impact. It measures the level of impact and how people can make their best impact and contribution in a team. And if you think about it as a business process, you will always have people who come up with original ideas, and then who are the game changers, people who are making sense, helping make sense of those ideas and strategize and plan and prioritize. And they're the strategists, and people who are going to be hands-on implementing and making those ideas happen, the implementers, and people who can take the products and services that you already have and really develop them to perfection and create a future that we're proud of, the polishers. And then you will have the playmakers who orchestrate the future and help everybody collaborate and work very well together. When it comes to how we make an impact, that's when you get inclusion and motivation in one go. Because when I feel I can make my best impact, that's when I feel included. I feel included because I can make it, because I operate in an environment where my impact is valuable. When I understand the kind of impact that I'm making and the kind of impact that everybody on the team makes around me, that's when we also can work together and really feel motivated together. But that is always happening when I feel motivated intrinsically, when I find my intrinsic motivation over and over again, because I know I'm always included in the conversation and I know I can contribute to the best of my abilities. That's, for example, one of the team snapshots that really give you a lot of information about who is going to make an impact as a game changer, or as a strategist, or as an implementer, or as a polisher, or as a playmaker, and really understand how we can all together work better, regardless of our other categories that we would be probably seen as belonging to, right? We have to understand that unconscious bias is going to be there no matter what. And we're all going to be biased one way or another. But what this does, when you look at inclusion and motivation, look at how people can contribute, and do they feel that they can contribute? Are they safe to contribute? Do they feel that safety? Because it all starts there. Okay, I said I will not keep you long, and I won't. So I'm gonna talk about this more in the live workshop on June 8th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Now, for those of you who register, you will also have the opportunity to ask questions live, and also we can chat about your GC index profile, about how you're making your best impact and contribution. So for those of you who register now, and you have the link to register for the live workshop in the description, I'm going to be sending some information so that we will work during the workshop. We will work with some of your information as to how you're making your best impact and contribution in your world, at home and at work, because really you will see they are pretty similar. But bear in mind that when we talk about motivation and engagement, we will always talk about how included people feel in the conversation in the first place. How do they perceive the culture or the environment that they operate in? How safe they feel in that environment, and how that is all part of the well-being at work conversation. And that is, from my perspective, the only long-term high performance leadership approach that's strategic and that really helps you as leaders of these teams, either as a small business CEO or a mid to senior manager, who are really hands-on and managing your teams right now. Pushing the conversation for well-being at work as a strategic leadership approach is only going to give you more long-term benefits when it comes to high performing that's sustainable, and to redefining success in organizations, as in, yes, we're getting the results without the cost that we've been paying because of the toll that the whole situation has taken on our people. It's always going to be about the people, because they are the ones operating in the business. Okay, so register for the workshop. Absolutely, you have more resources on the All Personal YouTube channel, the All Personal Learning platform, and I'm always happy to chat with you about the Lead for Legacy League, which is the global online group program for management and leadership development. And you have online courses that you have available on people in team management and leadership, weekly group coaching and Q&A, assessments and strategies, and access to the lead community and support in a private group. We also have guest speakers from various industries and a curated resource library on people skills and leadership. So you want to talk to me about that? I definitely want to talk to you about it as well. Okay, so that being said, I'm really looking forward to continuing the conversation. So remember, you can register for the live workshop on June 8th. The link is in the description, and we are going to talk about inclusion, motivation, engagement as part of the larger well-being conversation that we need to start having, so that we bring sustainable high performance, because that's what it's all about. We don't want to pay the human cost, right? We want to have people who are engaged and motivated, and that feel that are part of the conversation. That's what inclusion is all about at the end of the day. Okay, thank you for being here, and see you on the live workshop next week. Bye for now.